for revision, and there will be grace period for all the GCC countries to try the implementation of these codes. And after that, once they will be recognized and they will be thus as a law, every GCC state are abide by these rules. And all the foreign contractors and the foreign consulting offices and the national offices in the GCC states, they will be abide by these codes. It is understandable the lack or the absence of these laws made people comfortable in choosing or selecting whatever comfortable or cheap for them. Yes, you will find resistance from owners or from consulting offices to applying certain materials, talking about materials, and talking about the lack of the proper materials in the market. I think till the year 2014, it will be good enough time to train people and to train the market and to try through the Kuwait municipality and the Ministry of Public Works through their term of references, specifying these in their projects, preparing the market, preparing the owners, preparing the decision makers. And I agree with you, it's very important to start from top bottom. And I think Dina Nateeb would maybe explain more through her project. Just imagine this is the oil sector wanting to certify their building, existing building. If the management resists certain decisions, then this is a problem. Yeah, you need to have the commitment from top down to be able to get the certificate, the certificate that you want. But when it becomes a law, then you have no choice. You have to be by
when you're talking about codes, it's not a rating system. I understood that you're confused a little bit about the rating systems which are applied in Qatar, which is QSIS, Istidama, and Abu Dhabi. These are not codes. These are performance rating systems. When you rate a building and you are assessing it with different, the background of this rating is different standard, different codes, your result of the assessment will be totally different. That's why we're saying that we're adopting like QSIS as a rating system. It's not that we're adopting their codes and standards of Qatar. It's totally different, and I don't know if it's proper to explain about it now or not. It's like scientific explanation. Those assessments are measuring your performance of the building according to what's the background of those standards. We have been receiving one from the, I think, Public Authority of Industry. They were addressed by the Tarsheed Committee of Ministry of Electricity. They have translated or adopted the Dubai code, and they addressed them to take our technical opinion list. Reviewing that, and I was sharing this also with Dr. Al-Hajmi, he reviewed thoroughly the energy section. We cannot just say that the standards of codes are there in the one of the GCC countries and we can just take it. It's creating big conflicts here in Kuwait. It has to be reviewed within our local requirements and priorities here in Kuwait, and what need to be reviewed and changed. Using the other system, the rating system, is not, I repeat it again, is not reflecting the standards and codes of the different countries.
The base that they refer to, which will be codes, and those codes need to be in place, and they need to be agreed by the local authorities that they impact. One of the problems that the power system has in Abu Dhabi is that it allows the recycling of grey water, but the local authority for drainage says that recycling of grey water is not allowed because their regulations don't allow it. You have to have a properly coordinated set of regulations. The building assessment system then assesses your building against the baseline of those regulations, so both need to be in place. We do have a problem at the moment in nearly every country in this region has got a different set of regulations. It would be really nice if they do get unified and modified.
A top-down approach is essential, but if you only make a law without people accepting it, then all your buildings and all your laws will be in vain. If people in a very modern building switch on the air conditioning and don't switch it off when they leave, what's the use of having a very sophisticated building then? I would start much earlier in renewable energy education, and this will in the end reduce your carbon dioxide emission. If people start to change their habits in this country or all over the Gulf, this could be much faster, much more effective than anything else. Second, if people are driven by the passion of saving energy, then they will also enforce that workmanship is done properly. I can see that you are not giving an order to the cheapest company, only to one who is complying with your standards. Yes, some companies do comply with the standards, but who is actually monitoring that the buildings are properly done? You need people, you need passionate people that say, no, this window is not properly placed, take it out again because it has to be this and that way. And you need a pool of young Kuwaitis driven by the passion to save energy, and this can only be done if you start introducing renewable energy education in the system as early as possible. And this is what we've done in Germany since more than 20 years now, and the result is that Germany is leading in renewable technologies and clean tech, and we have created more than 450,000 jobs through these measures.
With Mr. Fisher. And yesterday, Mr. Willis described to us the waste in cleaning cars. He has a friend that has 6 cars, and he sees a pool of water next to his cars. And we've seen this scene here in Kuwait also, because there is a culture of waste. And like Mr. Fisher said, this culture of waste has to be addressed at a very early age, which means that the idea of conservation must be instilled into our students at a very early age, which means it must be included in our curriculum. That's why I'm glad that we have Mrs. Bezza here from the Ministry of Education. I would like to, ask her what is the possibility of modifying our curriculum to include this culture of conservation at a very young age.
In the United States, we created the LEAD system, which has been working in the voluntary sector very successfully. But the realization came when we started actually monitoring performance of the rated systems, that there was lack of coordination, lack of understanding of these different rating systems, and one person may choose a platinum level rating, another may just choose a silver level. It was voluntary sector. But what was missing was the linkage between a rating system and the regulations. On the regulation side, like was mentioned by Jeff, we had the local municipal health department allowing or not allowing certain practices. We had the public works department taking a different approach to conservation measures. We had the fire department taking an entirely different approach because they wanted to be sure that any of the green practices that are embedded in the building do not obstruct the rescue operations in times of fire, or there is an earthquake, or there is a other event, that they didn't want the window shading to be such that it will prohibit the access of firemen to rescue people. So the realization came that the regulatory units of the government have to get together first and create a regulatory document which can implement the standards successfully. What that meant was the need for creation of a code, a green building code, which would work along with the rating systems to mandatorily establish the requirements across the board so that every municipality or every department cannot exercise their own requirements. There will be total market confusion, and you will not be able to create a cadre of trained, consistently trained, competent people. So the new Green Building Code in the United States, it's called the International Green Building Code, is set to be released today. And I gave Engineer Tamimi yesterday the final version of that document. So we have realized after going through this enormous practice of implementing the LEED system that we now need the mandatory regulatory support to create an infrastructure that will consistently and adequately implement the standards. So we need that coupled with, like was mentioned earlier, sound educational practices. And so the challenges are many, but at least, we have gone round through a full circle and come back to the release of the building code, which has been created with input from the health departments, fire departments, public works department, energy and their utility companies. They all were part of this committee for which our organization paid them to come and attend this meeting. It was not voluntary, otherwise they won't show up to the meetings. So we created a budget, we brought them to the meetings, we had the document through the public review process, and it is being released today in the United States. So that you will need as an instrument to enact it. It's not enough to say that it can be LEED or your Estidama or your the Quasis program. You have to stipulate at what level you want, because each one of them have different levels of certifications that are possible. And then you need the coordination with the ministries to implement it. Thank you.
You needed time till 2014 to establish the law. But this period of time, many buildings, many houses will be built. Okay, so we need a recommendation from the government for the ministries and private sectors to use the basic things of power saving or green building ideas. Okay, and the most important thing to be considered in the study of the building, the green building, is the prices of the material. The prices sometimes is 10 times the ordinary type. So if the recommendation is by the government or the law is established that suppose LED light to be used, it is 10 times the ordinary type. So the government should support these materials to encourage the companies and the people to use these materials in the houses and in the building. Thank you.
Abdullah Mtairi from Kuwait Green Building Council. It is a newly established council and it is an affiliation of the World Green Building Council. We had the affiliation a few months back and we had the opening 2 weeks ago. The founding members of Kuwait Green Building Council is NTEC, the National Technology Enterprises Company. We have the Municipality Council. We have Al-Arjan, real estate. We have design, and as a founding members as well, we have people from the Ministry of Education and the Secretary, Assistant and the Secretary. We have Alia, Sayed, Ajmi as the founding members. the World Green Building Council, their objective is to promote green building practices, to raise awareness and to help the policymakers. So they give affiliations to the countries based on a business plan developed and bylaws. So we developed the business plan, the bylaw, and now we are under the establishment as an NGO. Our objective here in Kuwait, as a Kuwait Green Building Council, we work in two parallel approach. One is to raise awareness. The second objective is to have a pool of green building materials to be transferred to Kuwait. We also we partially own Heliocentris. Heliocentris is a German company, not the council, the National Technology Enterprises company. So they have education materials. They are integrator of renewables. So this is part of a mandate where we want to transfer the technologies. We want to have a pool of building materials. So any of us who want to adopt green buildings, I want to have a point. We do want to have give the impression that green buildings is a sophisticated system. You could start partially by replacing your lights by LED. It's partially green. So you don't have to go fully green. You can start by changing the lights. LED, the lighting consumes around 15 to 17% of the electricity consumption. So changing the light and the retrofitting of light is very quickly. So this is where you can really adopt green building practices. You don't have to change the whole system to be a green. So we want to work into giving this impression. Green buildings is not a sophisticated system. It is easy. You can adapt it quickly. Also by really creating this pool of building materials, having it available at the retails, having available to the architect, to the designers. So this is also help adapting the green building practices. Also in the Kuwait development plan, they have a minimum of 5% of the electricity requirement or power requirement up to 2020, a minimum of 5% to be generated from renewables. So by the year of 2020, the total requirement is 20 gigawatt. So 5%, we're talking about 1 gigawatt of renewables. So this is really huge, and I think they're going to have a huge challenge of adapting or meeting these requirements. So this is also a target that the government already have a plan, So now, as Dr. Klaus Fischer mentioned, that education. So we also in the council, we're trying to create an education where we are targeting not only the technicals, not only the engineers, we are also targeting the decision makers, the finance people, because financing green building or renewable projects requires different experience than financing regular projects. So this is also a target we're trying to really focus on. So I think it is a big challenge. The plan of Kuwait, the $37 billion plan already approved, and they are working in. I don't know how we can really speed up the process to really influence the decision makers to adopt the green buildings into this plan. There is no mechanism of adopting, so the National Assembly, they should, so they have a very active committee, environmental committee. They should adopt this and they should consider it into the development plan. So I think, as you mentioned, Alia, before 3 years, no one was talking about green. Now, a lot of interest, a lot of people are really active into this, and we can see the awareness is happening.
As Doctor said, there is two types of building, existing building and new building. If you're talking about replacing the existing lighting with LED, it will cost a lot. It is not logic to replace the existing. You have another alternative solution, which is the controlling. I have a case study here of one of our big building in KOC. The power saving by implementing the controlling only, 40%. 40% of the existing lighting load. You will reduce 40% of the existing lighting load. If you are going to implement LED with controlling 70%, as our study, as based on our study, 70.6% will be power saving. So not everything can be implemented, and you cannot force the people to change the lighting. There is another options, as I said, the controlling, which is cheaper, and it will reduce 40%, plus the capacitor bank, or power factor correction. There is a new generation of power factor correction with a small box, can be installed in the HVAC motors, in the motors in the buildings, plus the lighting load, everything can be installed, and it will reduce also between 6% to 10%, and the commercial to 70% in commercial, and from 6% to 35% in industrial area.